The morning sun was barely rising when it happened. I had just stepped out onto the porch for some fresh air when a sharp, furious voice sliced through the quiet American suburb. At first, I thought someone was arguing on the street, but then I realized she was shouting at me, or rather at Luna, my service dog, who sat calmly by my side, her blue vest gleaming in the soft light. There she stood across my yard, hands planted on her hips, a spray bottle dangling from her fingers like a weapon. Marlene Pierce, the newly elected HOA president. The kind of woman who walked around as if every street, lawn, and mailbox in West Haven Meadows belonged to her personally. Welcome back to my channel, HOA Tales. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Now, let's dive into the story. Your animal is out of compliance, she yelled loud enough for the neighborhood to hear. No HOA approved tag. No authorization. You're violating community standards. Luna tilted her head, but didn't move. She had been trained not to react. I wish I could say the same for myself. I calmly reminded her, Luna is a service dog. Federal law protects her. She doesn't need an HOA tag. But Marlene wasn't listening. Her face flushed an angry shade of red as she marched toward my lawn. People like you think you can just ignore the rules. I'm not having it. Before I could step forward, she lifted the spray bottle and aimed it at Luna. A cold blast of liquid hit my dog directly in the eyes. Luna yelped, stumbling back, pawing desperately at her face. That sound, her pain, hit me like a punch to the chest. What the hell is wrong with you? I shouted, grabbing Luna and rushing her inside. The liquid smelled like vinegar, sharp, acidic, and completely unnecessary. I rinsed Luna's eyes over and over until the redness faded and her breathing steadied. When she finally nudged my hand with her nose, I knew she would be okay. But I wasn't, not even close. I called the police, and as I waited for the knocking on my door, my mind drifted back to the beginning. How all this had started so stupidly, so avoidably. I had moved to West Haven Meadows 2 months earlier, a quiet, perfectly manicured suburb in Virginia, close enough to work, peaceful enough for my recovery. After my accident during my EMT shifts, Luna became the partner who steadied my panic episodes and kept me functional. She was a golden retriever with eyes full of patience and a heart bigger than most people I'd ever met. I thought moving here would be a fresh start. That illusion broke the first day I met Marlene. She showed up with a clipboard, a forced smile, and the kind of energy that made you want to retreat back inside your house. I don't remember approving a dog residency here, she said, staring at Luna as if she were a wild animal loose on the streets. She's a service dog, I explained politely, protected under the ADA. Her eyes narrowed. People always find loopholes. I should have known then she would become a problem. Within days, the warning notices arrived. Each signed with her overly curly signature, each more ridiculous than the last. My grass allegedly too tall by half an inch. My mailbox inconsistent with community tone. My trash bin visible for 45 unacceptable minutes. I fixed everything anyway, hoping she'd get bored. But power never makes certain people bored. It makes them worse. The HOA meeting was my first real glimpse of the storm brewing. Marlene stood at the front like a dictator, giving orders. Then she introduced a new mandatory rule. Every animal in the community, including service animals, must be registered with the HOA and wear an HOA ID tag. When I raised my hand and politely explained that federal law doesn't allow HOAs to demand that, she cut me off. We are a self-governing community. Federal law doesn't override us, she declared. Nobody dared challenge her. They just stared at the table. After the meeting, she cornered me on my way out. If you want to play difficult, she whispered, I can play difficult too. I didn't know then how literally she meant it. And now here we were, in the moment where her difficulty had turned into attacking a trained service animal. When the police finally arrived, Luna was resting by my feet, her breathing steady again. I explained everything, showed them her vest, her ID, her official documents. One officer took my full statement, while the other walked across the street to confront Marlene. From a window, I saw her flailing her arms, her face turning redder and redder as she pointed toward my house. I couldn't hear her, but I knew the script. She always used the same one. I'm enforcing standards. I have authority. I run this community. But this time, the officers didn't seem moved. They came back, expression firm. Sir, she admitted to spraying your service dog. Interfering with a service animal is a federal offense. I nodded. I want to press charges. Minutes later, the flashing lights caught the whole neighborhood's attention. People stepped onto their driveways, watching silently as Marlene Pierce, the woman who had acted like she owned everyone, was guided into the back of a police cruiser in handcuffs. She yelled all kinds of threats. Eviction. Lawsuits. "You're finished here," she screamed. But no one defended her. A neighbor whispered. She finally pushed too far. Another apologized for never speaking up. "We were all scared of her," she admitted. "But your dog didn't deserve that." The days that followed were chaotic, but clarifying. An emergency HOA meeting was held. Nearly every homeowner attended. Something that never happened before. The board unanimously voted Marlene out of her position. She had brought legal liability onto the entire community, and no one was willing to let her continue. Then came the sentencing. Marlene, dressed in expensive clothes and accompanied by a lawyer who clearly regretted being there, tried to downplay everything. But the judge didn't budge. He reviewed the federal laws word for word, explaining that disability accommodations are not optional, not negotiable, not subject to HOA whim. She was sentenced to 30 days in county jail, fines, community service at an animal shelter, and mandatory disability rights education. As officers escorted her out, she looked back at me, not with anger this time, but with something closer to disbelief, as if she truly couldn't understand how her rules didn't matter more than the law. But Luna sat beside me, calm and steady, reminded me that sometimes justice actually works. And for the first time since moving to West Haven Meadows, the neighborhood finally felt like home. I hope you liked the story. For more intriguing stories, please subscribe our channel and also click on bell button.